Call to order and roll call. I call this meeting, May 1st, 2025, Public Safety and Prevention Tax Citizen Oversight Committee to order at 3 p.m. May we have roll call
Chair Minor,
here?
Member Atkinson, Member Bailey, Member Cosgrove,
Here.
Member Hennett,
Here.
Member Holmes.
Here.
Let the order reflect that all subcommittee members are present with the exception of Member Atkinson and Bailey.
Thank you and welcome committee members, panel members, and members of the public. Thank you for joining us today in person and via Zoom. This meeting is being recorded. As a reminder to all, please set your cell phones so you do not disturb others. The City of Santa Rosa is committed to providing safe and inclusive environment free from disruption. It will not tolerate hateful speech or action. Everyone is expected to participate respectfully, or if necessary, the meeting will end immediately. We have provided a hard copy of today's agenda. Please feel free to use one to follow along. After an agenda item has been presented, the chair will ask the committee members for their comments or questions, and then immediately following their discussion, the chair will open the item for public comment. If you are attending in person and wish to comment, you will be called on when the agenda item is open for public comment. Please raise your hand to indicate that you would like to comment. Once you have been called upon, you will be asked if you wish to state your name. For the record, each public comment is limited to 3 minutes and courtesy timer will be set at the host table, which will sound at the end of 3 minutes with a series of beeps. If you do not have a comment but would like to ask questions relevant to the jurisdiction of this subcommittee, there are forms located at the entrance of the conference room. Please complete the form and leave it in the basket. The staff liaison will address your questions appropriately prior to the next scheduled meeting. Our meeting format is integrated to allow members of the public who are using Zoom to view and listen to the meeting. Any email comments that were received by deadline will have been included and uploaded to the agenda prior to the start of today's meeting. Emails received are not read into record. With that being said, agenda number 2, public comments, non-agenda matters. Are there any? Let the record reflect, there is none. Approval of minutes. Members of the committee were present at our last meeting. Are there any edits or corrections you would like to have to the minutes of October 30th, 2024? With no edits, the minutes from October 30th, 2024 are approved as submitted. Committee business, agenda item number 3. Are there any additional?
I would just like to, I was talking to someone at the last meeting, and I know that you guys have a ton of budget cuts right now, and I would love that you guys have lots of other very important things to do. To make presentations as succinct as possible. I don't see any reason, and maybe my committee members disagree, why this needs to be a 2-hour meeting. Because we all know what's going to happen then. We're going to approve. So quickly, Parks and Rec. Thank you. All right.
Police too.
Okay.
For that.
There's somebody at
Questions for you.
the
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that being said, agenda item 4.1, vice chair elections. Are there any recommendations for PSAP vice chair?
I nominate committee member Holmes to be vice chair.
I nominate committee members.
Okay. Well, let's start with Holmes. Do you accept?
It'd be really awkward if I didn't, right?
You can accept or not accept.
I accept.
Do you accept?
No.
Okay, then.
We need a second, I think.
Second.
Oh, Okay.
Wait, can I ask a question? So like the vice chair will, like, if you don't show up, right?
Correct.
So you'll be here other time.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure,
I'm
my
good.
messes.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is that Member Holmes is accepting nomination for vice chair. All those in favor? Aye. Raise your hands.
Aye.
Can I say
Well,
no?
yeah.
Or do I abstain? Can I say no or abstain?
The problem is we only have 3 members with her abstaining. So you would have to vote.
She can vote.
I can vote. Okay, I'll vote yes.
Okay. Okay, motion passes with 4.
But I don't know how that just happened.
Blink, it goes fast.
Thanks, Ethan.
Anytime.
Okay, moving on to scheduled items. We're gonna go ahead and move into item 5.1, 2025-26 Measure O Program Budget and Implementation Plan. We are gonna be starting with the fire department, thereafter police, and then violence prevention. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Minor, members of the committee. Scott Westrope, Fire Chief for the City of Santa Rosa. With me is Sarah Roberts, our Finance Analyst. And we'll get through this as quickly as possible, as we usually do. And with that, I'll turn it over to Sarah for the first couple slides.
Okay, next slide, please, Shelley. Thank you. So I'll start with our adopted budget and our proposed budget. We've had a change of $234,000 in our salaries and $131,000 in our benefits. Those are part of the COLAs that were just negotiated. We have also had a deduction of $38,000 in services and supplies. That is a deduction of the $25,000 one-time money for the Explorer program that you guys allocated last year. And then also keeping our budgets at our expenditures at contract amounts for different services and supplies that Station 11 needs. Our transfer out debt has changed, so we no longer have the previous Fire Station 5 lease payment. You also allocated money for the specialized transport vehicles, so that is coming off the proposed budget for this year as well.
And then I just wanted to take a couple seconds to talk about the $3 million that's coming out for Station 8 and what the plan is for that. So when we have a capital improvement project, we have to show that it's fully funded before we can start construction. So for Station 8, we came up about $3 million short on all the money for that Roseland Fire Station. So what we decided is we were taking pretty much most of our reserve fund balance out of Measure O and applying it towards that as a line item on the capital improvement project piece. But the plan is, and the agreement is, that'll be the last money out. The plan is the Santa Rosa Fire Foundation is currently underway with a capital campaign to raise up to $5 million directly to go to Station 8. So the foundation's very confident they can raise that money. There'll be a small community campaign, but mostly this is going after grants and large corporations, other large nonprofits who need the tax break anyway. So the ultimate goal is that we're able to put this money right back into the reserve fund balance and like it was never there. So we're just sort of borrowing it for the time being. So I want to explain that. And then on Station 11, Station 11 is the fire station in the junior college district on Lewis Road. And so Measure O originally built that station, and that station right now is a permanent apparatus bay and then a triple wide mobile home that was supposed to be there for about 5 years. And it's been there for almost 20. So we're having some problems with that building, obviously, with the wear and tear that it gets as our second busiest engine company. So we're starting to build that CIP account to build a permanent Station 11. So essentially, we're taking the money that we were using for the Station 5 that burned down and just transferring that over and starting to build that fund for permanent Station 11 in the junior college. So it's well within the guidelines of Measure O or PSAP, and we look forward to being able to build a permanent structure there in the future.
That's okay. You stole my thunder on the last one.
Oh, sorry.
Next slide, please. This is the three-year forecast that was requested to be put into here. So this was provided by the budget team. And so just really quick overview, the salaries were grown by 3% each year, benefits by 2%, and services and supplies by 1%. The consultant Avenue, their revenue projections increased beginning in fiscal year 26-27 at 0.8%, then 1.7, and then 1.4. Just so you're aware, we'll be adjusting the forecast annually. We'll be watching our expenditure plans, and we'll be adjusting any expenditures that we need to every year. And so we'll be working very closely with the budget team on that. Next slide. Just highlighting some major budget changes, and this is actually a picture of our current Fire Station 11. We had a $366,000 increase in salaries and benefits. As I said, we had that final lease payment towards the former Fire Station 5 site. And so we're allocating that portion of that towards our CIP project for the permanent Station 11 build. Next slide, please. And then we're still maintaining a $55,000 to support the Recruitment and Diversity Strategic Plan program funding. So that includes our Explorer program, Women in Public Safety Day, and a few other programs. There's a nice picture there from our current Women in Public Safety Day that just happened a few weeks ago. So that's Chief Westrop here and our Assistant Fire Marshal Templin Robbins, and a couple of kiddos that are actually, I believe, kids of our fire station or fire department staff. And then we do have that $3 million set aside for our Station 8 construction project. Next slide. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sarah. So just as a reminder, for the fire department, there's 3 areas we can spend PSAP funding on. It's personnel, specialized equipment, and infrastructure. I'm talking about what personnel the PSAP pays for the fire department. Currently, it pays for essentially an entire engine company. So it's 9 personnel, 3 fire captains, 3 fire engineers, and 3 firefighters. It allows that engine to be advanced life support. And just as a reminder, we operate 10 engines and 2 trucks and 2 squads on a day-to-day basis. So it's 10% of our effective firefighting force that PSAP pays for. Our training captain, which runs our training facility and all of our training programs on West College Avenue. And then PSAP pays for the paramedic incentive for our ladder trucks, the articulating ladder trucks to be paramedic equipped and staffed as well. And it pays for 25% of our EMS division chief salaries and benefits. And that position is responsible for about 73% of our call volume. So it's very helpful in that regard as well. Next slide, please. As far as specialized equipment goes, we were able to purchase the 55 dual band mobile radios, which are deployed and in service now. 2 Type 1 fire engines, one of which is still on order. We're hoping to see it probably early next year, along with 5 from the general fund. It's purchased a Type 3 wildland fire engine, which is still in service today. 4 command vehicles, our swift water rescue trailer. And then as Sarah referenced, as you all remember, we used PSAP to purchase 2 transport capable squads, which you see in the pictures on the right here. One has actually been delivered, and I believe the other is on the way. But these are going to be deployed as our advanced life support squads, which is a 2-person resource. That is, the personnel are paid for by a federal grant, and the current vehicles that they're on are pickup trucks that were purchased by the Santa Rosa Fire Foundation. So this is just putting them in a more robust, more functional vehicle that we actually will hopefully be able to generate some revenue with one of these days. So I'm very excited about that change and really happy to see them right here in Santa Rosa. All in all, PSAP is very, very prolific and a big part of what we do, especially with what we're facing in the general fund right now. So with that, I'll turn it over to the committee for any questions or comments.
Any questions from the committee?
Thank you for the great presentation. I really like the that slide with the the Fire Explorer program and the other event y'all held. That's great. I wanted to ask, I remember before we had a conversation about remember you all were talking about the diversity initiative you all are taking on. I wanted to know, were y'all able to do the race breakdown of the employees?
We have not. We certainly could, but we have not done that.
For sure.
So my apologies. It
Oh, no, it's
fell
okay.
through the cracks with everything else.
Yeah, yeah,
going
no,
on.
no, it's great. A lot, and I think, and I remember the conversation we were having last time was, I remember you all were coming up with ideas to bring in people from diverse backgrounds from Santa Rosa to be a great tool along the lines of like gang prevention and intervention, you know, allowing youth that maybe engage in other activities, seeing them alight and like participating in a great field, like you said, right? Like great hours, great pay, great benefits, pension, and like you said, like, you know, if they're from the community, other young people will see them entering a great field, you know, so, and I think sometimes like highlighting the diversity that you already have, because obviously you have a whole outreach page on your website, and you have like the mentorship program, which is amazing, and then the other Fire Explorer program. So I think just throwing it out there, I think if you did do that, you know, it'll attract more people to it, even because you would think it wouldn't, but at the same time, somebody will be like, I want to be there to bring more people like me there, you know, so I think that would be really great. And also, I know you partnership with like the Violence Prevention Partnership and Recreational Park, so that's great that you all do that. But yeah, I just want, that was just my follow-up question.
Yeah.
And
We'll get
and
that.
also, sorry, interrupt
No,
you.
we'll get that.
For sure, yeah. And then another thing also I think is just throwing it out there too, if you keep track of like the ethnic backgrounds of the individuals participating in the Fire Explorer program
Mhm.
and these events, I think it's like also a great way to see, you know, where are the numbers, where is it really good, where is it lacking? And I think that'll also help us that are in the community, like funnel people to your department, you know, that may be you know, have an interest or don't even know they may be interested in it. So yeah, but I really commend y'all for these great programs y'all are doing.
Thank you. Appreciate that input.
Okay. Are there any requests online or in the public? Okay. With that, moving on to police.
Great, thank you very much. Chair Minor, I'm John Krieg, I'm our Santa Rosa Chief of Police, and I'm joined today by our Administrative Services Officer, Pam Lawrence. And ASO Lawrence is going to start off with our first part of the presentation and go through some of the numbers.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. So this shows our proposed fiscal year 25-26 budget of 5.3 million. Majority of that is in salary and benefits. That did increase over this last year by about 500,000. Our services and supplies, our request is 355,000. This funds our fleet cameras for all of our marked patrol vehicles, as well as the maintenance, fuel and replacement costs for those vehicles that are funded by PSAP. Then we have administration, which is insurance and our city overhead. And then our substation leases, that actually reduced by 27,000. Our downtown enforcement team moved out of the Mott's building and into the Simon Mall, and that is at a no cost lease. So that was great news for us. Next slide, please. Same as fire, this is our 4-year outlook for PSAP funds. I won't go into the details since you're already aware of that with fire, but at the end of fiscal year 25-26, we anticipate a saving or a reserve amount of 503,000. 26-27 will be in a deficit of 350,000. So we are continuing to look at the revenues as they come in, balance out what our priorities are with these funds, and we'll make changes as needed. Next slide.
All right, and this just briefly highlights the positions, and like ASO Lawrence said, we're very staff heavy with ours. So we have 17 positions spread between patrol, our downtown enforcement team, our traffic team, and then some of our civilian team members of our police tech and field evidence technicians and supervisor and community service officer. And one thing that we did after some direction from the committee here is adding the student interns. And that's been an exciting part of our program to have young interns coming into our program who are local students here in the area. And we've seen several that have actually been hired on as permanent employees at the police department after building relationships and seeing it something that they wanted to pursue as a career. So that's been really enjoyable. Next slide, please. Here, this gives a highlight of some of the things that we're focusing, and these are highlights are mandates in the ordinance about areas that we should focus on, increasing like downtown, Railroad Square, obviously Roseland, Prince Memorial Greenway, and along the Smart Railroad tracks, we've really seen some progress, not only with collaboration with other city departments, but some of our local providers here in the city, and seen a major reduction in homeless related incidents, down 14%. So that's some steady progress we're seeing, and really have worked to see a progress on traffic safety, as we saw a significant uptick in fatal collisions last year. Next slide, please. We mentioned already about all of our vehicles being equipped with fleet cameras, and that's really big for the transparency to our community and accountability and liability for the city. And that's been something that's really been a true enhancement made possible through PSAP and our transition of the substation. So it's right now, it's right here in the middle of Santa Rosa Plaza, and it's with the goal of being more accessible to our community, that we're working toward having an open lobby where community members can come in and access resources, and being more centrally located between Railroad Square, the Plaza, Old Courthouse Square, and all of downtown with it. And with that, it's also helping us with our priority 1 response time, which has been a community issue over the years. And we did see a significant reduction of 6%, but still working to make that a greater in our goal of getting under 6%. Next slide, please. And this has been another big important one for me as chief, and for our entire department, is really getting out there, engaging with our community in so many events. And it's a great opportunity for our community to build trust with our officers and with our command staff, and for us to really get to know our community more and the needs of our community. So it's something that's been a special focus, and we continue to make that a priority. And PSAP officers and some of our civilian staff members help make that possible. So it's something that we want to continue. We're in the middle of one of our community police experiences right now, and we're already ramping up for our youth police academy coming up this summer. And that's just really been an opportunity for our youth to get to know what goes on at the police department. And we're right now, I believe we have 32 in our community police experience right now of adults. So it's a great educational experience. Next slide, please. One of the focuses that we have in one of our 4 operational objectives is violence reduction. And we've seen some steady progress after 12 homicides in 2022 and 10 in 2023. We saw an 80% reduction in homicides in 2024, going from 10 homicides to 2. And that's not an accident. That happens with a lot of hard work and a lot of community collaboration and work, and really more of a focus on some of the upstream approaches to reducing violence and getting our youth not involved with gangs and access to firearms. And so the numbers are showing that. Same thing with a significant reduction in the shootings, down 52%, but we are still continuing to see illicit firearms on the streets of Santa Rosa, with 390 illegal firearms seized and 124 ghost guns, or the privately manufactured weapons. Next slide, please. And as we wrap this up, it's just really talking about how much PSAP helps make this possible, whether it's the violence reduction, the community engagement, the resources that we have with traffic enforcement. And that's why we continue to have the focus on that, the violence reduction, traffic safety, and third, I would add the community engagement piece. And now further for any questions from our committee.
Does anyone have a question? I have a small one in relation to the office in the mall. What are the hours of operation as far as community members being able to come and interact?
That's still a work in progress. So right now we have currently 8 officers assigned to our downtown enforcement team, and that's their central office that they're working out and deploying out every day. So we built a lobby off to the front, and just yesterday, ASO Lawrence and I were in a meeting talking about how are we going to get staffing for that lobby. So what our goal is to put our volunteers in policing program to build an hourly, a weekly rotation that they would be there. And we're also in conversations with Santa Rosa Plaza about them assisting with like a community service officer. Many years ago, they paid for a community service officer to work in a lobby of one that we had there. So that's still in early talks with it. But the goal is in the next 4 to 6 weeks to have volunteers in policing there, and they're going to have different pamphlets and be able to sit there at a desk, and they're going to have a computer, and they'll be able to talk about city resources, police department things. And then we even have a vision that we're working on that you could file like an online report there. So if like perhaps your kids are shopping in the mall and you want to like time, you could do it if you're just there. So, and just the goal being as accessible as possible for people to be able to come in, ask questions, get police work resources, file an online report, or whatever you may need.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, I have a question about, what would you attribute the decrease in call response time to? Like, are there things you're doing that you can?
I think it's a myriad of issues, or ways that we're doing it. Some of it is we've finally been fully staffed. So we've seen historically over the last When I started as chief, it was 3 years ago this week, actually, I stepped into the role. We were down 21 sworn police officers when I stopped in, and now we've really worked toward, and last year, for most of the year, we were fully staffed. We're just now starting to dip down a little bit with the citywide hiring freeze with it. So I think full staffing, we've really been also working with our dispatchers and our officers about how we can prioritize clearing officers from call to get them to that next call. So that's been a point of it. And others has been just more strategically placing our resources. So like with the downtown enforcement team being here with it, and then having officers of trying to work with dispatch of officers staying in their beat and not getting pulled geographically across the city to other beats, so they have longer response times coming back with it. So those have been some of the things. Really, I would have contributed mostly to being at full staffing finally, and then seeing the benefits of having more officers out there patrolling the streets of Santa Rosa. Thank you. Absolutely.
Anyone else?
Yeah, question. Thank you for the presentation, and just really got to give it up for y'all. Y'all have been so busy, and it's like you said, I love how you provided these numbers that show, what you and your the force is doing is really working. So I definitely commend you for keeping our streets a lot safer. And also I love the pictures. Y'all always got great pictures. So, like see the kid in the motorcycle thing. Yeah. So hey,
that picture. Public Safety Day, just so you know.
Thank you.
yeah. So what I want to ask was, has there been any? Also kind of the same thing, kind of what I was saying to the other presentation before you was, I don't know if you're already doing this, but I think it'd be a great idea if you like track, like the race of the individuals that are participating in the program you have going on right now and in the past, just so it's a good way to highlight. It's a great thing to highlight, one, right, and then also seeing if there's any like gaps. It's a great way of before you can tackle a problem, identifying it even more, and I think I'm just throwing that out there. I think that would be great. Also because like coupling that with like the youth that are involved in gangs and other activities, since we know like the racial breakdown of this issue we're dealing with, and then being able to couple that with the group of individuals that are participating in your programs, it's a great way. I think that it can be a great comparison, because I remember you told me you're a research guy or a numbers guy, and I am too. So I love being able to use those numbers to our advantage. I wanted to just follow up. Has there been any like conversations around, I know we were talking about in the past, like possibly, a way to like track when individuals are when officers are the PSAP, PSAP officers, as you call them, like doing patrol outside of the vehicle. I remember we slowly talking about that. Yeah,
we do. So part of it is we do track it, but it's a little bit broader with it, and we put it as like a security check or like a foot patrols with it. So I can track that, like the number of hours with it. So we have an ability. I could tie it down specifically to the PSAP officers if you wanted even at a more micro. But yeah, so we have the ability. For us, it's to me about culture with it. So it's starting from the top of me being able to talk and put that out there about, I want to see you out of your patrol cars, walking through shopping centers, parks, downtown, and things like that. So we've really been trying to put it as part of the culture. And then I ask officers and stuff like, hey, send us pictures of you going out there and things like that, so we can highlight this on social media and things like that too. So we've really been trying to make that part of the culture, and we've seen a lot of progress with that. And that's been one of the things too. We've hired a lot of officers. We were just looking at the numbers in the last 3.5 years. We've hired over 75 new personnel come to the police department. But it's bringing a lot of new energy and a lot of young people from the community here, and that's really helping to be able to do exactly what we want to do with that.
Definitely, no, and I agree with you. I bet we could probably all speak to it. Like I definitely feel like there's more of a presence. You see police officers like their vehicles more often, and it even seems like it's been like a diverse too. I see some more officers of color, So that's just commending you for that. The hiring. I know it's probably so hard to hire, good, finding individuals, going through the whole hiring process, and them actually taking the offer, So I appreciate you for doing that. So that's great that you track it. Yeah, I would like that. That would be something great if you could put that in presentation, especially because, we talked about this in the past too, like the more we can get officers out of the vehicle and then engaging with the community, and particularly when it's incentivized. You know, I remember that's the thing we were kind of linking into, like, if there's a way we can incentivize that for officers. Cause, yeah, doing great, and particularly if you can track it in areas where there is quote unquote, a lot of crime. You know, cause if you're able to couple that together, particularly with like issues of like gang involvement and gang activity, I think it would be a win-win. They'll get credit, in whatever form you come up with, and then also individuals that are partaking in these activities be able to develop a relationship with the officer that, God forbid they may come in contact with in the future, it could be like a whole another form of great de-escalation, so, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll start tracking for things like for the community police experience and we can get some data for next year too about the security checks and the walkthroughs and things like that. And a lot of it's just been about like partnerships too with some of the diversity. And Chief Wester's been really gracious about helping us partner with things like Women in Public Safety Day. And we both have a shared vision of that. And so there's so many things that we can work together. So we've been able to do that on several other partnerships out in the community. And I think both our departments are seeing some of the benefits from it.
Definitely. Thank you.
All right, with that being said, are there any comments?
Sorry, I have a couple more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just wondering, so you've had this understaffing problem for a long time. Over the last few years, it's been solved. How has it been solved?
A host of things with it. One thing we did we did a lateral incentive for other officers. If you have a year and a half experience with it, there was an incentive that since when we got up to full staffing, it was some of the city budget issues that's gone away, but that was one thing that helped us with it. Others was us just really focusing on doing some of the marketing with it. So we hired like a local video team and we made promotional videos with it. They're on the back of our business cards. We have a QR code where you can go and it has like 9 little videos. We did things like even putting them on like the trailers at the movie theater here. So when you watched a movie, it had a 30-second video from Santa Rosa PD about us recruiting and talking about the environment and what sets us apart here. With it. And then really it was our team of really feeling the support from the city of Santa Rosa with it, from our council members and saying, this is a city that we want to work in here too. That really helps. And that's what we saw, just a significant uptick of getting the hiring. And then now we have to continue to work through that. And I know we have some of the budget stuff going on in the city with it, but we're going to continue to work to be able to maintain that full staffing.
Do you have any sense of if most of those people, these new hires are people who live in Santa Rosa versus outside Santa Rosa?
I don't have that data with me. I can say anecdotally that most are from this region here from Sonoma County. We do have some come from other areas, but we're able to have a talk that we've had a lot of people who are graduating from high school right here in Santa Rosa, and we're able to really represent that. And when they're going back out in the community and talk about, hey, I went to this high school or this middle school here in Santa. So I would say anecdotally, most are from Sonoma County area, but we certainly do see some from Mendocino, from Lake County, from that area.
I'm just trying to make sense of that first point you made. So officers who essentially recruited other officers, there's some sort of incentive for that?
No, for the lateral officers themselves like that. So if you're a lateral officer for 1.5 years of experience, so that's a milestone for us as an officer that you get a certificate from the state and that you were able to come over here, that you would get an incentive to be able to come if you stay for 3 years, and it was parsed out over 3 years. And for us, it cost us $87,000 to send someone to the police academy with their salary and benefits, all the academy costs for all their equipment with it. So it's a significant savings for the city of Santa Rosa, not only to bring that experience, but also to not have to pay for the academy. And it's that's 42 weeks between 20 weeks of the academy and 22 weeks of field training to get just someone ready to be a police officer with it. So that really shaves down dramatically with the lateral officers, but we brought a lot of trainees on this as well with it. And that's really helped be able to start filling those ranks.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's good. Yeah, sorry about that.
Anybody else? Okay. Okay, I'm moving to, are there any public comments? Any online? Okay, there is none. Moving on to violence prevention.
Thank you, Chair Minor and members of the committee members. Jeff Tibbetts, Deputy Director with Recreation and the Violence Prevention Partnership. And last meeting, I was able to introduce Jackie Hammond, our ASO. She got to sit in the crowd, but this meeting she gets to move in the hot seat. So Jackie will start us off with some of the budget numbers. Next slide, please.
So what we're looking at here is the neighborhood services sections adopted and proposed budget. You'll see an increase of $51,000. that reflects the changes in salary that we anticipate this year. Next slide, please.
So a little detail on those numbers. So the permanent staff reflected in that. 4 permanent employees, a rec supervisor, 2 rec coordinators, and a recreation specialist. Note on the recreation supervisor, that position does charge half of its time to the general fund, so it's supported by both our general fund baseline as well as the PSAP dollars. And then in everything that we do in recreation, the temporary employee hours over 15,000 hours through the PSAP funds, which is the equivalent of over 7.5 additional full-time staff. But those are your coaches and after-school tutors and all those different positions that are the backbone of what we do and make it possible for us to serve the youth and families. Types of programs, you guys are very familiar with the programs that we run out there, really addressing that out of school time. So after school programs, summer camps, break camps, making sure that kids have a safe place to be when they're not in school and when there's, high chance that there's not somebody at home to keep an eye on them as well. In addition, expanding and continuing to provide high quality extracurricular activities. So a lot of sports, including Junior Warriors basketball and cheer program and all those different things that are going on out there. We're also excited to say sports clinics was a model we kind of moved to coming out of COVID, where we couldn't necessarily run full leagues and stuff. And so it was kind of a fill gap. We've recognized the value of that type of programming as well, where it's not fully into the leagues and not as big of a commitment, but it's a really great way for us to engage more families and get new participants in the programming. So we found a way to bring some more of the sports clinics type programming back, which we're excited to do in this upcoming year. Youth empowerment groups, we'll talk about both with neighborhood services and BPP. These are groups taking place in middle schools throughout the city and really focused on kids generally through our Guiding People Successful program and getting them that extra mentorship. There's a whole curriculum around the youth empowerment groups. They're male and female groups and a whole curriculum that's built around serving those youth. But some of our neighborhood services staff are also running some of those groups. So in areas, as we've come together more and located in the same building and working more closely together, these types of things that we've realized, hey, there's value in us collaborating on these. So that's exciting to continue. And then STEM programming, art program, those are both in the form of supplements to programs, right? So you have an after-school program, obviously you're supplementing it by bringing in some of those programs, but they're also in standalone programs. So we have Lego engineering class that people can sign up for specifically, or we take out some of those types of programs to our after-school programs or our summer camps and stuff. So they're experiencing it in those other programs. And same thing with art. We have family paint nights where parent-child or adult-child can sign up for paint nights. And we have classes for youth, but then obviously we're taking some of that curriculum into our other programs as well. And then the creating experiences area. So again, this is more of the community events, family time together events, field trips for youth, those types of things that are kind of those extra experiences, the things that are really going to stand out and they're going to remember 20 years. Oh, remember when we went to, now I'm forgetting the name of the Alcatraz. We got kids going to Alcatraz tomorrow, right? So those real big things that really stand out and families remember and kids remember. Next slide, please. So in terms of next steps for neighborhood services, as we look for, what this proposed budget is, continue to expand on the programming. Again, neighborhood services is really kind of the core area where we really invest in that prevention side of what all of Violence Prevention Partnership is. So continuing to prioritize access and equity and look for ways, again, hey, let's go back to that model with the clinics because we saw that was a really good way to bring additional families into our services. Also wanted to quickly address Steel Lane Community Center is a hot topic everywhere I go. People are saying, wait, the Steel Lane Community Center got closed. So just clarity on that. The front desk operation got closed and condensed as part of the budget process. So all of our front desk operations, public front desk, is at the Finley Community Center. My guess is over the next 2 years, we'll have more programming taking place at Steel Lane Community Center than we did in the past 2 years. That's because we're really investing, not necessarily having staff there to just have it open to the general public, but we're looking at different investments, again, leveraging funding. So Measure M, the county Parks for All sales tax, we're looking at some of those funds to do some upgrades. Neighborhood services is kind of upgrading different rooms and stuff that'll make it even better space for us to provide some of the services to the youth. So we will definitely, and in general, all of our recreation programs, it's still space available for us to use and program, and we'll be doing that. It's just and obviously open to the public when we're doing that, just not having that general like Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 there. So please help spread the word that we are still utilizing that space. And again, I think we'll be seeing more programming taking place there than in the past. And again, we've talked about it in multiple of our presentations. It's just continuing those connections, the relationships with the community, how important that is, leveraging these funds. So the Change for Kids program, Burbank Housing, we're currently working on our next variation of our contract with Burbank Housing. Santa Rosa City Schools, we did a new contract last year. We're in contract again this summer. That's again expanding programs where we've got one site that all of the temporary employees at that site, who are again, the ones working directly with the kids, are funded through our contract with Santa Rosa City Schools, but it's overseen by those permanent employees that are funded by PSAP. So a way that those permanent staff are providing services while using another funding source and expanding and serving more kids. So we continue to look for those opportunities. Next slide, please.
So this slide is the Violence Prevention Partnership adopted and proposed budget summary. You'll see that there is a increase of $444,000. A portion of this is the increase in salaries that we've just kind of seen across the board. The other section to point out is the service and supplies, the $392,000 there. That reflects the contract for the New Hope for Youth, which is, as you guys know, the street outreach and crisis response program that we've brought on board. Next slide, please. So the 3-year forecast. So as my colleagues have already talked about, why the different increase in the forecast that is there. So obviously, we do have a deficit anticipated in the 27-28 budget year. That is due to the New Hope for Youth contract. And so I'll let Jeff speak more to kind of our strategies around addressing that.
So yeah, as you guys are aware, we've been implementing the 2023 to 2028 strategic plan and the 4 categories there of intervention, prevention, community outreach, and education and investment. So we see the need in our community, and so we've been very aggressive. The team has been doing an amazing job of unveiling the street outreach response, crisis response. The Clean Slate Tattoo program is up and running. The empowerment circles are up and running. We've got the new Choice Cycle 12 up and running. So it's been a lot, and while we look forward, we knew that we had those funds right now and we knew the community needed. So it's really been the focus of get those programs out the door and bring back some historical programs that we lost over time. And now the shift moves to, the team did an amazing job doing that very fast. And our focus and shift will move to how do we create sustainability and what this model looks like moving forward. So we will be focusing on that. Next slide, please. But to highlight what, again, this budget represents and what we're looking at over this next year. So again, there you have the permanent positions from the program manager, 2 community outreach specialists, research and program coordinator, and the administrative secretary. Obviously all those positions and role oversight of all the programming and again, community outreach specialist really being engaged with the youth and families and monitoring that. Research and program coordinator helping find sustainability, grant options, the reporting of information, data collection, all those different types of things, oversight of the choice program and our contracts, like New Hope for Youth, and the administrative secretary, obviously supporting operations in general, but especially in regards to the policy team, the VPP policy team and the operational team that we oversee. And just a note on one of those community outreach specialists, we have a contract with Sonoma County Probation, and they charge against that contract. We're currently in negotiations on a new MOU that would extend that another 3 years. So wish we could have had it wrapped up and said it's done, but we're at the phase of trying to get that finalized right now. And then what is it used for? Again, programs that you guys are familiar with, but again, really excited at how many new programs are still coming out and again, tackling every aspect of that strategic plan where as we did that strategic plan, we realized there are some areas we were stronger, some areas we were weaker and needed improvement and intervention being a big piece of that. So it's the SCIP program, Safe Campus Intervention Program, up and running, continuing that. We're seeing a lot of success building those relationships. It's becoming more and more efficient as we work more with the schools on that. The Clean Slate Tattoo program, I believe we're on our starting our fourth cohort of individuals going through that program. Are we getting close to 20 people in the program now? Yeah, high teens. So that's up and running. We're looking forward to continue that next year or in this proposed budget. The Street Outreach Crisis Response Team, we've mentioned a few times, right? That's the contract with New Hope for Youth. Unfortunately, we've had incidents in our community recently where we've had to activate it. But in activating it, right, we're seeing that New Hope for Youth, we're seeing that service to crisis response, report to hospitals when situations take place, working with the families, when the victim is able to, working with the victim. And we're already starting to see, right, building that and look forward to continue to build those relationships with the hospitals and with everyone involved in making that program successful. So it's never exciting when you're implementing those pieces of the plan, but we're seeing the benefit of that and having those services back in our community, which again has been a gap for I want to say probably about 7-8 years. So exciting to see those things come back and continue in the next group. In addition, we implemented Choice Grant Cycle 12. So that'll be continuing. The implementation of year 1 and year 2 will be part of the next budget year. And again, the other cycles have been great, but they're really with the new strategic plan and emphasis with cycle 12 of what do we need to implement this strategic plan and the new partners on and all that has really been working really well. We're excited. The referral process is going great. So I'm very excited to continue cycle 12 and the partners that we have funded and are working with us. And then community awareness, that'll be on the next slide. There's details on the training that we do every year, the annual training that we do. But also, right, as things happen, we've been partnering with the police department, school districts to deal with some of the fentanyl issues and different safety issues that are impacting our youth. So we will continue to do that as well. And then again, facilitating our policy team and operational teams for the city. Next slide, please.
It is on the next slide.
Oh.
Already advanced it.
So again, yeah, the implementation there, again, our violence prevention awareness seminar, just a note there, coming up October 9th, 2025. And then another strategic thing as we look forward is, again, obviously, the sustainability, identifying other funding. Certainly that's becoming a harder task as some of those funding options are going away, but the team continues to look for that, whether that's through collaborations, grants, kind of every box efficiencies that we can develop. As budget conversations happen, right, then it's also the prioritization. So we'll be in that evaluation process. But looking forward this year, we're still kind of pushing forward these programs, excited to offer these programs and start looking for more of that sustainability. And next slide, we'll take any questions or comments that you may have.
Any questions from the committee?
Question, yeah. Thanks so much for the presentation. Always appreciate and adore the programs y'all do, and get to see all the kids running around doing great stuff. Any question? I think maybe, I know we had talked about this in the past too, about, I feel like a broken record, but, has there been any talks and leeway around figuring out the racial demographics of the youth that are partaking in the programs and possibly seeing where they're from, obviously you have different locations and stuff.
Yeah, so we're gathering some of that information and we may be able to provide it to you guys through email or something soon. Obviously this particular meeting is a little more focused on the proposed budget. We're certainly planning on having more of that content as part of the presentation when we do kind of the data of what's been going on with the kind of look back. So we have been making, since the last meeting, we've been making that a priority to figure out where we have that data, work on our onboarding process where we're collecting that data more regularly. So we're definitely making some progress. We've got a draft of a presentation right now that's not quite ready to be shared as we're pulling data from different sources. But we expect a lot more of that data to be available with our next presentation.
That's great. Yeah, and you don't got to email it. Don't worry. Next presentation is fine. I just think, I was bringing this up, but I definitely think, especially, my reference is definitely that human development index, the Sonoma County one I came up with. And, I was particularly troubled with seeing the Native American and Black, life expectancy rate, access to education opportunities, access to your presentation's gone there, but the after school programs and stuff. So I definitely, just, nothing against the program or nothing, it's just, I just bring that up because I feel strongly around, if we can see who's in the program, we can see who's not in the programs. And then that just allows us a map, but okay, we need to go a little bit here more, a little less maybe here because obviously there's, there's occupants, like you can't pick every youth, obviously, right? You got, once the program fill up, that's filled up. So I appreciate you all considering that work to get that data. And then, yeah, also with the ethnic background, also where they live.
Yeah.
I just want to throw that out there too, because I think that'll be a great, like, you have a map of like, okay, these are where our folks are coming from.
We physically have a map, so yes,
Yeah.
that'll be
Yeah.
included.
Perfect. Thank you. And then also, yeah, I definitely, the sport clinic, that's great that y'all are doing that, because it's like short term, anybody can show up.
Right.
You don't have to be part of a team. So I commend y'all for continuing y'all great work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the tattoo, that's amazing. We haven't had a clean slate thing in a long time.
Yeah.
So it's great to hear that it's up and running.
Excited to see it back. And I think one of the really cool things with the clinic is a lot of times a barrier for some kids, right? We talk about all the barriers of finances or transportation or these different things. A lot of times confidence is a barrier for a lot of kids. And that clinic is a much easier way for them to kind of take that first step and then realize like, oh, wait, like, yeah, I like this. I want to keep doing this and then
Yeah.
feed into Junior Warriors basketball or
You know?
those other programs. So we're excited for it.
Yeah, all right. Well, I was wondering, with the school closures and some of the facilities being open, will you be able to utilize some of those spaces? I'm thinking specifically of, you have a basketball program at Steel Lane Community Center that is on a carpet, in a carpeted room, and you now have a cafeteria, which is not that much better, but at least it's a hard floor right next door. Do you have a plan to use that facility? And if you do not, why?
So do we have I wouldn't call it a plan yet, but certainly there's been some preliminary conversations in terms of why don't we have a plan yet is the school district is so new in figuring out what this is going to look like. We had a conversation in one of our policy team meetings, just in terms of what is this going to do to after school availability for, can the campus accommodate that? So those conversations are happening and everyone understands that we've got to be at the table and kind of trying to figure out how are things going to adapt? Are we at the plan phase yet? No, but we're certainly at the table to be partners with the schools and figure out that plan. And yes, if we could get some resources that make it easier for us to run our programs as well, very interested in, hey, we got some gym space now and we're partnering. I mean, the schools have been great partners. That's how we run a lot of these programs is through their gym space, summer programs on their campuses and stuff. But if we could streamline that process and make it easier and take away some of the administrative work that we're doing to ensure that, we're absolutely having those conversations right now.
Are there financial differences between using our own facilities and San Jose City Schools? Do they charge us more?
So for the most part, most of our program, we have very good relationships where
Yeah.
with these particular programs, because they know the nature of the programs and low cost and those types of things, it's been made very, for the most part, free of charge for us to provide those programs.
Thank you. Do you have any intention in increasing services at this for students who are specifically going to be disrupted by school closures? And I know you don't know exactly where the students are going to end up yet, but like, do you intend to concentrate resources on, like, if you were just a Steel Lane and now you're at Helen Lehman or whatever?
So we are ready to pivot. I guess an example of that is the contract we're doing with San Jose City Schools right now. The contract went in for us to be at 2 schools, and those schools were impacted. So then the school district came back to us and said, we're moving programs here and here, and we moved those services. So again, we're not a plan that's in place, but we're having those conversations. And, as anything happens in our community where we need to pivot, we're in that phase of, okay, what's that pivot going to look like? Again, it's been quite a while since in your traditional after school programs, it's been quite a while since we've been a provider of that for the school district. But if the call comes of, hey, all of a sudden we need another provider, we're ready to have those conversations and figure out what that pivot looks like. And if their current providers can meet the need, however that changes, great, meet the need, and we'll continue to do these other programs. But yeah, I think we're on the same mindset of we've got to be ready for what's the fallout of all this going to be and how do we pivot and how do we serve the kids.
Thank you. Can we go to slide 26?
Another thing on that is every 2 weeks, we have a meeting with the expanded learning manager with Santa Rosa City Schools. So we are talking to them regularly.
And does that person still have a job at the end of this year?
Yes, he does.
and I should have asked the police department this too. But I'm looking at the expenditures and that number getting negative in the available fund balance very quickly. And at least with the police, you guys have quite a bit more funding, so and theoretically it might be easier to cut. But I'm looking especially like 2026, 2027. First of all, there's what, a $350,000 increase in expenditures. Where did that come from? Is that just the New Hope for Youth program?
On the 25-20, our current budget?
From this budget to next year's, yeah.
Yeah, so the contract with New Hope for Youth shows up in 25-26 for the current year, as well as it's because it's a contract, it's already encumbered in for the future year as well.
Okay.
So that'll move from an encumbrance of this year to an actual cost on next year. But it's not reflecting in both areas because it's already encumbered.
So that program ends at the end of 27?
So that program is on a calendar year contract. So this is year 2025 is year one, 2026 is year two. So it's in the 26-27 fiscal year, but it'll be on the calendar year, not the fiscal year.
Okay, and then more broadly, just looking at the fact that you're expecting to get revenue in about 2.2 million over the next 3 years, and you're expecting to spend about 2.6 to 2.7. What is that, like a 20% cut in what you're currently spending? Have we started to look at what that looks like? Because that's a huge cut.
Yeah.
Are we hoping that revenue goes higher than expected?
Well, I mean,
Yes.
always hoping, right? We've been applying for some grants. There's a couple grants that we're currently evaluating to provide funding, it's a variety of services that we provide. But absolutely, right, what the reality is, the focus now also, as I said, implementation was the focus, and now focus is sustainability. And we realize that part of sustainability may have to be prioritization.
I'm just asking because I'm sitting right here next to Chair Minor, who was just on the school consolidation committee, and they largely got into that mess because they kept on prioritizing serving the people we have right in front of us right now. And as a result of the economic downturn, student enrollment goes down, and then you suddenly are cutting massively, and it's a fire sale. And obviously I don't have the authority to suggest to you anything, but I would love to see us cut what we can early on so that we can sustain our most essential services instead of, again, what happened in San City schools where we're cutting things we probably didn't have to cut if we had just cut some more sooner.
Any further questions? Any questions from the audience? Any online? Okay. Seeing none, do we have a motion from the committee to approve the fiscal year 25-26 Measure O budget PSAP, Measure O PSAP, budget program implementation plan? Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Can I amend that? I don't even know what the process is. Can we add something in there about our concern about this forecast over 3 years and also our police department? The fire department is forecasting a smaller decrease, like it's, I want to say it's like $100,000 by 28-29. But you guys are almost, I want to say, what side is that?
We're 26-27 will be at a deficit of 360,000. Looks like 13.
Right. Can we take a look at the police slide? I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm not sure which one it is. Do we know
It's
what it's 13?
Can I jump in for a sec? I just want to clarify
Oh, yeah,
that
go
for
for it.
all three of these forecasts, these are forecasts. So the purpose of today, we're just evaluating the 25-26 budget, and that's what we'll be adopting in June. So our 26-27 years and the out years, this is what at this time we think may happen, but there can be a lot of things that will change between now and then. Revenues may perform better, there may be vacancies, there may be unspent appropriations, which could bolster fund balance, which could put the out years into a positive. So as we get to those years, we will make sure that they are in the positive. These funds cannot each go negative on an individual basis. It's not allowed, so we cannot let that happen. But to your point of, yes, wanting to start making decisions earlier rather than waiting till the last minute, that's well understood. But I just want to point out that we are not adopting these budget plans for the out years. This is just at this point in time what we think will happen, and we'll make adjustments as need be.
Yeah, so we're only approving 25, 26. These are.
I understand
forecasts.
that, but I want to make it very clear to the city council as we're approving this, that and I understand that we're only approving this year, but it's like that they need to be aware that the cut's gonna have to come somewhere, and considering the way we're separate, but also ultimately what you do is you cut from here, which like the money is all in the same general pot as much as we separate it. They should be aware of the fact that they're gonna have to find this money somewhere else. Right, if it's not coming from here.
So I think there's a couple of things we can do. One, we could note, and I think we did before, in the staff report, that we're seeing trends that are showing negative fund balance in our out years. And the committee has voiced concern over that and asked staff to monitor. And that second part is what, as Veronica is saying, that's what we do. Anyway, we've been through this before during the recession, where we got to a point where we're forecasting negative fund balances coming up close, and at some point we had to make a reduction in order to keep a positive fund balance. But one thing we don't want to do is overcorrect too early and then have revenues change or whatever change and where we didn't need to make that cut in the first place. So it's a very dynamic, fluid situation. We're constantly looking at it, as are the departments, and we work with them to make sure that that we can make the changes should we need to make them in enough time to where we're set from a financial statement standpoint. But that's so we can absolutely put a statement of concern in the staff report. Like I said, I think we did that last year, and so we can continue that concern of the committee of looking at these out year fund balances, and then we'll continue our current practice of doing just that. And as those get closer, then obviously our message to you will be a lot different. Especially if we see a fund balance going negative in the year that we're looking to adopt. So I think that helps.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Any other concerns? Okay, once again, we have a motion on the floor to approve fiscal year 25-26. First by Elias and, I'm sorry, member Hennett.
I got a quick question. So what he just said about the statement, do we have to include that in the thing, or is that just?
No, that goes in the notes.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. We don't know. Okay, cool.
Okay, and the second was?
Vice Chair Holmes.
Vice Chairman Holmes.
This is a nice
All
one.
those in favor, say aye, raise of hand.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passed. Okay, future agenda items. Or are there any future agenda items that you would like to put on the agenda for next time?
I just want to quickly thank, especially Brexton Park, for how succinctly you did that. You guys don't get any stars because you already did well. Thank you.
Our next meeting? How close is our next meeting? Is it like next 6 months or something?
Yeah.
It's in
It's
October.
October.
October, okay.
So think about it.
Okay, if you could put something in there, I was just gonna ask about racial demographics of,
Okay.
so I remember.
Okay. Any additional
So, like,
agenda items? Okay. With that, I adjourn the meeting of the Public Safety and Prevention Taxes and Oversight Committee at 4:06.